Welcome to Burn the Map. I'm Dan, and excited to talk to Jaime Jay today. Jaime is one of the founders at Bottleneck Distant Assistants. It's a service that's designed for founders and entrepreneurs and people that are like genuinely building their projects up and need help in delegating and offloading a bunch of that drudgery. He has been in the business for many times. You have those people where you can just see their character in their eyes. Like you hear a twinkle in their eye. He has a twinkle in his eye. Go watch the episode if you want. You can actually see it. So very cool guy, very delightful human. Obviously founder, military veteran, 82nd Airborne, awesome guy. And a systems thinker, category developer, which if I'm picking a career, I think that's probably one of the smartest things you can actually focus on. So listen to the episode. If you like what you are hearing, as always, please go ahead, like, subscribe, send us feedback. If you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, we appreciate you and enjoy the episode. Jaime, it's good to see you, good sir. I am excited to chat with you today. For those listening, if you haven't already heard it, Jaime is a veteran. Jaime founded and works on basically outsourcing AI assistance. He does deployments on agentic AI. He works with military veterans. How did you, I'd just like even start. How do you go from being in the 82nd Airborne? Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
To homeless, to basically running and developing a company that helps people run and develop their company?
Well, I was flying in a C-130, and instead of going out on the outboard chalk, I went on the inboard chalk, and I found myself homeless and at a drop zone in some random place. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I don't even really know how I went into the Army, to be honest. I was homeless 3 times in my life, once as a kid and twice as an adult. And boy, is that makes you a pretty humble person. And I think probably one of the reasons I went into the Army was, moving away from home and give my mom a break, and trying to find myself and see what I could do. And actually, I really enjoyed the Army. I had a lot of fun with it. And then when I got back, the day I got back, my wife at the time came and picked me up and saw my baby, because we had a young baby, about a year old, and it was nice because I was stationed over in Germany for a while, so I hadn't seen them. Yeah. And she wanted to take me out to lunch, and I was so happy. And she let me know that she wanted a divorce, and my plan was to stay at their place and work for her dad and do all of that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, okay, what do I do now? I had $385. And so I grabbed my duffel bag and started walking. And it's a good thing I just got out of the Army, because I walked all the way from Rancho Cucamonga, California to Huntington Beach, California. Jeez. And that took me a while. I slept on the 91 freeway. And then, it took me a while to get back on my feet there. Thankfully, met some good people, and they let me crash on their couch for a while, got a job as a waiter, and kind of built myself back up. Then I went into corporate America for 12 years, tried to figure out how to get out for 11. And I started my first company, a little bit SEO agency. Uh-huh. And then in 2005, I started an ad agency with a friend of mine, and we were looking for help, but we were just brand new, so we couldn't afford big ad execs. So sure. He was from the Philippines, living in California. He said, let me try something. We hired a staff of 13 all from the Philippines, and I fell in love with Filipino culture. And 20 years later, here I am. I even worked for a staffing company for a little while and got fired. So it's pretty awesome to work for a staffing company, or own a staffing company now after all of that. So yeah, big transition.
Big, to say the least. Well, so now that opens up cans of worms. I want to know what you liked about the Army. What about that experience was fun? I mean, you always hear those like, I wouldn't give it up for $1 million. I wouldn't do it again for 10 million, but
yeah. Well, you know what? If I was in shape and all that, I'd go back and serve again. Knowing what I know now, I think it's, I didn't take full advantage as a young kid, and I wish I would have done even more. I did love it. I love the 82nd. Wasn't a big
Mhm.
fan of the Army in Germany. It was a little bit chaotic over there. But yeah, the 82nd, it was a blast. I mean, we got $110 a month hazardous duty pay for jumping out of airplanes. It was kind of funny, um, but it was awesome. I loved the structure. And once you get out of the basic and stuff, which wasn't really super hard, but once you get out of that stuff, I went directly to jump school, and the hardest one for me was RIP. Back then they called it RIP, Ranger Indoctrination Program, and I
Mhm.
didn't finish it. I failed it. I finished about 2.5 weeks, and it's a 3 week long course, and you
Mhm.
take that course just to qualify for Ranger School. Well,
Mhm.
my buddy made it, and he made it all the way through, and I was so proud of him. He got that Ranger tab, and boy, it was a different deal. For me, that was like one of the. It was like, oh man, how can I fail at that? And for the longest time, I thought I was such a wimp and no good for nothing, and it really did a number on my mojo, I guess you could call
Yeah,
it.
the
But
psyche. Uh-huh.
yeah, my confidence, and that really really bummed me out when I didn't finish that. But onwards and upwards.
I don't know who said it, but someone once said, "Only those who try get to understand the luxury that is failure."
Hey,
And well, because like you've got one, right? Like I really respect people. Like I went to a school where one of the things I liked the most about the people who went there is they were learning like international management and stuff, but they were willing to sleep and knew what it was like to sleep on a dirt floor. And I go, you
oh,
need to know what that's like.
they're done that.
My kid, raising kids and stuff, got 8-year olds, and I just go, you need to know what difficulties like, right? Your happiness is a teeter totter, and you can't just be happy. Like oftentimes, like you're doing stuff, it's from the Army, like some of the best hikes you ever do have to be preceded by the most difficult climbs and everything else. All of the pain goes to the payoff, right? It
Yeah,
counterbalances, right? So
yeah,
there is a bunch of those, because same thing, have those failures. Like you don't want to speak to them, but then simultaneously, Muhammad Ali, I think he once said, like, only those who know the sting of failure understand, like, when they
yeah,
need that last ounce of whatever it takes to succeed. Like
yep.
they know the sting, and therefore, no, 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 I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. So for what it's worth, I wouldn't go, and that's nowhere near as respectable as not completing. So for what
Oh
it's
man.
I aspire to be you. So,
Oh my gosh. Well, that's probably why you and I are entrepreneurs, right?
oh yeah,
We
on
get to
that
lay
one.
in the dirt all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, I can't. In my opinion, it's closer to a mental illness.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't do anything else. It's not that I want to. I just don't have an option.
exactly.
It's the only thing I know.
That's funny.
What did you learn from the difficulty on that, though? I mean, because I've heard about Ranger School. I played lacrosse, and one of our teammates was a Ranger, and he hurt. I mean, like when that guy hit you, like lacrosse
Yeah.
is a contact sport, and when that guy hit you, you walked away with serious, serious bruises, if not worse, every time. Like
Yeah.
little tappy stuff. I remember just being like, "Watch out for that guy," and he was a force to be reckoned with. They're not normal humans, right?
Yeah. It's the I would say there's a difference between being Ranger qualified and being a Ranger. So
Mhm.
I was in the second. I would have been Ranger qualified, going
Sure.
through Ranger school that I didn't do. But if you can get to like the Ranger battalion, then you're an actual Ranger, and from there you have a bunch of opportunities to go
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Q course in SF or maybe
Mhm.
Delta, depending on what you want. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
never hardcore into it like that, so
Sure.
I would not be a good Delta candidate, but Ranger, I really would have loved that because I loved the tactics.
Yeah.
And even in the 82nd, I thought it was a pretty good organization. We had great communication. We were always training. I felt very comfortable with the man to my left or the man to my right and our leadership. When I went to Germany, it wasn't the same feeling. So I could tell there's a difference in levels of
Huh.
operations.
Hmm.
And um, I think what's important to take from that is, it's not, in my opinion. Okay, everybody says it's okay to fail. I get that because you get to learn from it. But there's
Sure.
also something you can say, like you could have done something different to avoid it. You could have, you know. And sometimes failing is just people quitting too soon,
Yeah.
and not taking enough pain. I mean, I fell out with 22 shin splints. I mean, I couldn't even walk. But now I look back on it and I say, man, what a wussy. Like, how do you get through that? I've heard of people getting shot and crawling somewhere and getting, you know,
You hear like the David Goggins style
yeah.
people where you're just like running on broken feet and stuff like that. And you're like, what are you doing?
Well, my brother-in-law, he got a Purple Heart. He got blown up in Afghanistan, put a guy on his back and carried him to the chopper. Like, you
Wow.
know, like there's just things that I don't think you realize you can do until you actually get in that environment and just don't quit. And I think that's a good lesson for people to understand too. And this applies in anything, in your business. You're trying to help people get organized and disrupt the chaos and get a system in place for, you know, outreach and getting people to know who they are. And there's a lot of people that do that fall short of that. And the reason why I believe they do is because they just quit. They just get
Yeah.
sick and tired of rejection after rejection. And that's basically what an entrepreneur's life is just getting rejected. And you just have to bounce back and kind of figure out how to get that extra little breath and tweak it. And I think that's kind of what you do in your business, right? Like you analyze, and I mean, you collect data all the time, and that data helps drive decisions, and it makes things so much easier. But you have to spend the time collecting that data and understanding it,
Just draw
so that you can make the
drudgery.
right. Yeah, right.
It's what people don't know is it's 65 to 85% of all projects. It's way more time and cost intensive than everything else. But like once you have it, I mean, it's like being out in the wilderness and getting handed a compass and a map. It's like, wait, this just changed, right? This is one is just like, I think that way and stuff like that, or like not realizing that you're walking in circles every 1,000 yards or whatever.
Yeah,
It's a the changeover is it's such a weight off our shoulder. Every time I do it, we're like, implement, let's get it. This sucks. Yes, I get it. And then you get it. All of a sudden, like I don't know, but I've always liked this. I'm trying to teach my kid this lesson, but just I don't want, and I try to encourage them not to have that ego of like the only way you can be right is being very quick to admit you're wrong. If you really want to be that guy that's never wrong, you need to get very good at going and knowing when to go, oh, yep, my mistake or whatever. And so they're 8-year-olds and they're doing a lot of fighting and
oh yeah,
basically velociraptors testing the electric fence with me all day. And I'm going to just get really good at knowing when you're wrong, admitting when you're wrong, like explicitly admitting when you're wrong, and then switching it up and going, it's magic to just even watch, like he'll use it on teachers and stuff like that or other kids, and you watch him just diffuse those situations going, all right,
yeah.
I got one thing right. I got one thing right. But that getting that data, that information, and just going, I don't have the ego. If someone else does our job better, I'll happily send them a resume. I don't care. I want to be on the winning team. I could care less if I'm leading it. I don't care. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard. It is very
Yeah.
hard because you're oftentimes doing that work on yourself, right? It's hard to read the label from inside the jar, right?
Yes,
How did
absolutely.
you navigate out of it though? Those transitions are difficult, homelessness and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
mean, like the stories there, what did you learn? Because I mean, usually if people like the Army, they love the structure. They usually are going like, no, I know, like to your point, I know what the guy next to me has been through, what he's capable of, what he's trained for, and those unknowns. Like you have the data, you've personally seen what those people are capable of, and therefore can trust them. There isn't an unknown that causes stressors there, right?
100%. Yeah, that I think maybe from what I've taken from there,
Uh-huh.
um, if you look at homelessness,
Yeah.
you get to see that there's really good human beings in the world, and you get to see that there's people that don't care,
Mm-hmm.
and teach their own. Fine.
Yeah.
Like if I'm driving down the road, I don't give any money to the beggar on the side of the road. I don't do that.
Uh-huh.
And I was homeless once, right?
Yeah.
Like that seems kind of weird for me, but I was never into drugs. I never did anything like that.
Uh-huh.
I just fell on hard times. And what I have found is sitting in a McDonald's parking lot, by the way, I was out of money at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my rucksack and a duffel bag with me. And I still had my high and tight, like I was that fresh. And I remember sitting there asking people for, hey, can I get some money to go get something to eat? I
Uh-huh.
haven't had anything to eat in 2 days. And just so you know, it takes about a week to walk from Rancho Cucamonga to Huntington Beach. Um, and lo and behold, I had a buddy of mine that said, "Hey, let me give you some money." And of course, I was too proud. I'm like, "Nope, I'm going to handle this." Well,
Yeah.
that sucker, his name was Eric. He put $60 in the pocket of my duffel bag. I had no idea it was there. So I'm sitting in a McDonald's parking lot trying to beg for money, and I got a couple bucks, and this was in the early '90s. So I mean, I got 2 of those double cheeseburgers, and and I didn't even like ketchup, but I said, "Put everything on there." And I remember biting into that because those things last forever, right?
Sure. At that point,
So,
it's a side salad, right?
man, I bit into that cheeseburger and I just slowly chewed. And I'm like, man, I don't know when I'm going to get my next meal. So I'm going to enjoy this. And I put the other burger in there. And it was so embarrassing because I didn't really look homeless. I hadn't been homeless that long. So I didn't really look homeless, but I was sitting on a duffel bag in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And this lady gave me a couple bucks, and she goes, "You should go get a job." And I said, "I'm trying. I'm working on it." And what I learned from that is you have to keep going and going and going because, eventually someone you meet is going to help you out in essence, or someone is going to give you a leg up so that you can reach your objectives. And that's kind of what happened there. And I think that's what's true in entrepreneurship, right? So, we're reaching out to people all the time, and there's a whole bunch of things you got to do. I'm a big believer in category design, massive fan of it.
How do you mean? Yeah, tell me. How do you define category design?
So category design is creating your own category, creating something first. So right now, if I was to say, where would you go to buy something online? Where do most people go to buy something online?
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah, category king. Right?
Sure.
Where do you live in the world?
I'm in Utah, Salt Lake.
Yeah. Utah. Okay. So they may have it there, but if you think of like healthy grocery shopping, what would you think?
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. Yeah. Category king, right?
Yeah.
What is different between them and something like a Market Basket or a Price Cutters or I'm just trying to think of all these different. What's different? Well, they've designed a category and surrounded that with a really nice story. So what they've done is most people like to market their service or their product. Well, why are you marketing a service or a product in a category of 1 million people? Now all of a sudden you're instantly creating competition. Instead, market the problem. And if you can clearly define the problem, people will come to you because since you define the problem they relate to, you probably have the solution for that problem. And here's where real category design really steps up. Category design is creating your own category. Words matter. So you got to name that category, name it, frame the problem that your category is experiencing, and then claim your position. So name it, frame it, claim it, and claim your position, meaning this is what you're experiencing. So at Bottleneck Distant Assistants, where we're the world's first dedicated distant assistant company, the main problem that we solve is that business owners are trapped running their business instead of growing their business. Basically, founders and operators are drowning in administrative work because they were never taught how to delegate in a structured, repeatable, and scalable way. So they tried hiring a VA or hiring somebody or outsourcing random tasks or using software or duct taping SOPs. And it kept failing. If you've heard of operations departments, sales departments, marketing departments, then why is there a national average of 38% turnover this year if you have an HR department?
Yeah.
Because they don't address the problem of delegation. Did you learn about delegation in high school or college? I didn't.
No, I don't know.
There's no such thing as a delegation department.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is we've taken that national average here at Bottleneck and we've reduced that down to 8.7% turnover. And the length of stay on average is 5 months in the virtual assistant world. Our average length of stay is 39 months. Massive difference. And it's because we've created a category that we call Delegation Intelligence. And we built a framework around that. So you have to figure out, take something that is existing out there as far as a problem and create a category around it. And if you ever heard that, oh man, that person's in a category of 1, or that business is in a category, well, they've definitely defined the problem. And so everybody's coming to them. If you look at sports and you look at people like recording themselves, or they record events because they're athletic, what kind of camera do you think about? GoPro.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was these people that were so active in life had these big cameras on them. They couldn't do all the stuff.
Yeah.
So you come up with this tiny little camera that you can snowboard and do all this stuff. You've actually addressed the problem.
Right. It's the zag, right? There's the obvious zig, but where's the zag?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's why I love category design. And that's why I love sharing that with people. And all of our assistants are trained in delegation intelligence, are trained in this specific category. So it's pretty neat to see.
That's really useful, by the way, because I've had VAs, and oftentimes, like I, at a time, this is probably 5 years ago, I would sit there and I'd write out the spec, and I used autocomplete in Apple to basically go, okay, if I type in, it was colon, it was like SOP or something like that. I train it to basically drop a paragraph into a Word document, an empty paragraph, but it would have definition of the task and the need at hand, like the reason, basically the customer user story. And then it would have like the needs, the definitions of done, and all of this stuff. So I could go, okay, cool. I've actually defined why I'm doing this, what I think the solution is. I made it clear at the bottom that I want to know how long it should take and how much do you expect, how long before you think you can get that to me, so I could get some sort of expectation of a deadline from them. And it was such a good process. And simultaneously, I sucked at deploying it because it required so much specificity, my brain, where I'm like, oh, I've got all the things covered. And then it would take 20 minutes to fill out. I'm like, that was a 10-minute job. I should have just freaking booked my own 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, you did good, though. Most people don't do that. They think they have a delegation system, but what they have is delegation chaos. And what you did right there is one of my favorite things that I like to share. That's do something as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it. So imagine every single thing that drains you of energy that you do, right? That's in your brain.
Yeah.
If you could delegate that to somebody else, how much better would life be? But only if they did it as good as you or better. Because you this is your bar, like it's up here. And if someone else is performing down here, that's no bueno. You don't want them coming in every day saying, hey, Dan, what do you want me to do today? You want them to take that initiative. And so that's delegation intelligence. You just did that. Most people don't do it. And the delegation intelligence framework's 4 steps. Number 1, name it. What's this task? What's this project? Number 2, confirm the instructions. Because Dan, if you tell me to do something and I just go and do it, how do you know that I understood or interpreted the way you wanted me to? And then that way I'll take that. I'll say, okay, Dan, I understand you want me to do is A, B, C, and D. You said, yep, that's correct, but don't forget E. Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, E is this. I'm going to go ahead and take this back. I'm going to document it step by step down to the click of a mouse button. Then I'm going to schedule a time with you, Dan, to come back and make sure that I do understand this task. Okay, perfect. You say, good. Number 3, review and approve. Now you review that process. Get this. You told them once, they documented it on your behalf so that it can be actionable on their behalf. And now that's showing that they're proactive to you. So that gives you a lot of confidence. And number 4 is create the signal. What action needs to occur in order for Dan and whomever is related to this particular task or challenge or problem to know that that particular task has been done up to Dan's standard.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you follow those 4 steps for every single task, now you have the beginnings of a delegation system, a delegation department. And the delegation department is what our distant assistants build for you or for whomever it is. So it takes a lot of stress out. But the number one reason why people don't do it, because they have to do it, that one thing first.
It feels like,
I don't have time to do this.
Yeah.
And that's the worst mindset you can have.
There's actually a lot of good in there. I mean, because have you ever read the E-Myth? I've always liked the premise of like you're building your org chart from the bottom up. Get into the job, do the job, document the job, and then go hire someone to replace you in the job and move up the org chart, right?
Yeah.
A big part of
you have to get ready to do all that stuff because like the baker in the E-Myth who loved baking,
Yep.
hates baking now.
Hates people. Yeah. Hates. Yes.
Right? Because they
Yeah.
have to do
They,
the finance and the bookkeeping.
that's the other thing too. Dealing with, I mean, when you're doing that work as a founder or entrepreneur, you're doing so much stuff where you're just like, look, I mean, my number one job, as far as I'm concerned, surround myself with smarter people than me. And largely it's like when it comes down to it, I have to make money. If we're short on, say, payroll or whatever else, it's like comes out of my pocket, right? Like, so it's make sales, get that stuff done, especially if you're going 0 to 1. But then you realize there's so many things, HR stuff, ticky tack stuff. I can't log in, this week. Hey, my birthday is wrong on the insurance and they will not accept anyone changing that data point except you, Dan, personally. I'm going, holy shit. I mean, seriously, like,
Yeah,
there's a million things like that where they're just like, well, heads up, I can't show up to work if I don't have healthcare. They're not doing that, but it is stuff that you're like, man, is that low on my priority list, but also, man, it has to get done. And a ton of those things that are so many unforeseens, and it's worth its weight in gold to find someone that has developed kind of that track record. You're like, well, I've given you 50. You've done most of those well enough. At least I can just hand this to you and I'll know you figure it out. You know my style. You know what I'm trying to get done, generally speaking. It's like, all right, I'm giving you a very vague one this time. Just go cover it. I'm very lucky to have and be surrounded by people right now that can pull that off. Is it hard to find though? Man, how do you find them? Yeah. I mean,
that's where we specialize.
Yeah. I've got a job application.
20 years, 20 years,
1,400 applicants. And I'm going, almost everybody that I found has actually been a personal referral where someone else found that gem and went, you need to hire this person, right?
That speaks volumes to you then, because if you're getting good referrals like that, you've got a great network.
Good. I get by. How do you find them?
Oh man, we have a process for that.
Yeah.
We got almost 7,000 interviews last year, but we only presented 658 of them to our clients.
Wow.
So we have a pretty thorough vetting process, and never once in the 20 years I've been doing this have we ever experienced data theft or otherwise.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, so it's pretty strong vetting.
Man, that stuff's terrifying. Having been in, I mean, like we do data. So anytime they're like, we had a breach. And the first thing you're just like, what happened? What happened? What happened? Like, oh, it was someone else. Or even if it's not, you're just like, it's one of those things where you're like, it's a matter of time, right? Like it's not if, it's when and how, right? It's like, I have to presume it's
we do have insurance.
Yeah. That too. Yeah. Yep. But that's terrifying when you're getting people to that level of trust where you can put them into those systems. How do you conduct 7,000 interviews in a year?
We have an incredible team.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible team. Yeah, hats off our HR director and our recruitment is they absolutely love what they do, and that's the key, right? So I don't mind doing it, but it doesn't give me a ton of energy. Sure. I like meeting all of our DAs, like every single one of them I get to meet. And that's really cool because you get to see who's actually working for our clients and talk with them, and they put a voice and a name and all this stuff comes together, and they know that I'm approachable and the whole team is approachable. It's just, I think surrounding yourself, like you said, with just amazing people, it wasn't easy. There's certain times when you've got to say, hey, shut this off and turn this on and let that person go. And, thinking this person's going to be real great. And they turn out to have an incredible interview, but then they just kind of taper off. There's things like that. I think about it when do you know Brian Scudamore?
Never heard the name.
Brian Scudamore, he founded 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It's a massive company. He's on, what's the equivalent of Shark Tank in Canada? Den something.
Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den. He's on Dragon's Den.
Okay.
And I had the luxury of interviewing him a while back on my old podcast, and he had some incredible stories. But he was starting off in millions and millions of dollars, and he walked into the office one day, and he had 11 people there, and he says, "How come none of you are smiling? Not one smile on their face." He let them all go, lost customers, started over, and now grew a multi-billion-dollar company. So, I mean, the guy, that's the importance of making sure that you hire the right people and take your time and do it right. And that's what I love about it.
Man, and you call them distant assistants.
Distant assistants, yes.
Distant assistants, not digital assistants, distant assistants.
Not digital, even though they're all highly tech human beings. They all know how to implement, AI protocols and integrations and automations and all that kind of stuff. But they are actual human beings, mostly from the Philippines, that are absolutely amazing. They go through a certification course of 93 videos. So there's a lot of hoops they need to jump through before they can graduate from a virtual assistant to a distant assistant.
Do they specialize in fields as well? Like, do you have like the marketing person, play to their strengths type of thing in existing training?
So we don't do everything. I think if you do everything, you're going to get lost there. I think we need to become bigger before we can start specializing in other. But we do market 6 roles, like executive assistant, bookkeeper, project coordinator, social media manager, success manager, which is like sales support, and then customer service.
Huh. How does AI started to kind of change that role? You have like there's a lot of things where like you see current college graduates have, I want to say it's either 25 or 40% higher unemployment rate than existing graduates for jobs. And, a lot of people are going, well, ChatGPT can do that, so to speak, right? If it's that ticky-tack task. I usually say, no, it can't. And I'm not saying it never will, but I just go, most of the people that say it can do X, Y, Z haven't checked if it actually pulled it off or not, right?
Right. Yeah.
Built a business plan. It's like, did you check any of the math? No.
Yeah.
So did it?
I've never seen a business plan fail on paper, ever.
There you go.
Yeah, I think roles are going to change in AI, just like they changed when the computer came out. Just like if you see it, teachers complaining about kids doing their work on AI, I agree to a certain point, but I also disagree with that. I think the kids need to be learning about AI and getting heavily invested, because that is our future. If you go back in the early 80s, I think it was 1982, teachers were walking around with picket signs saying no calculators in class. That takes away from their, and now really? So we're going through the same thing. It's history repeating itself, and you just have to understand history and what it's all about. I think we should embrace AI and do as much as we can now, because it's still the wild, wild west. There's no worldwide ethics AI committee yet, although I know it's in the works. There's nothing yet. So get out there and dip your feet in it. Now, here's the other thing. AI has, like, for you, I think it's probably going to be different. This is your jam. Like, AI is your business, right? That's not my business. And it's not, I would say most businesses out there are not AI. They may be using AI,
using
implementations and automation.
Yep.
But that's not the reason that they started their business. I have a passion for seeing executives, CEOs, focus on what they really started their business for, i.e. bakers, right?
Yeah.
I love seeing them learn the art of delegation. I know AI is powerful, and I jumped into it. We have the Delegation IQ Blueprint. It's all AI. You answer 7 questions. You can use your voice or you can type. And from that, reports are created, going to my sales team. How do we talk to this person? Goes to the recruitment. How do I find a good match? And then the report that goes to the person shows, hey, this is who you are. This is your challenges. This is how you overcome the challenges. These are the roles you need to hire for. And this is what life's going to look in 6 months after you hire somebody, right? And that stuff is pretty powerful because it's all automated. But we really get to learn about these people because we leverage, their enriched data, right?
Yeah.
It took me 4 months to do that with an AI guy. And I'm done doing AI stuff. Like, I just want to go back to focusing on this other stuff. I'm like,
I've got the scars at this point.
Right. So I think there's those 2 things you got to worry about: overwhelm in AI or AI burnout.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It's real. It is real.
Only if that's not your main passion. For you, I would assume that's one of your main passions. That's what you do.
I like developing those.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
I'd rather somebody do that and say, "Hey, Jamie, did you hear about this or this?" I'm like, "Oh, that sounds cool," rather
Mhm.
than going in and getting into it, as I'm sure
Sure.
you do right now because you're a massive data guy,
Yeah,
right?
we
So,
we definitely have to know how the sausage gets made. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I don't, and I would argue that a lot of business owners, they might
Uh-huh.
get real interested in the beginning, but then they're going to find out that doesn't interest me.
It's been a really I mean, a big part of what we learned from that industry, if you will, specifically, again, is the one of the main things that ChatGPT did. They didn't invent LLMs. That technology's been around since the 90s, right? That's not new. What they did do is put the interface in front of someone so they could interact with it and get immediate feedback and immediate output. Most of the time, AI takes weeks, days, months, whatever to get it done. Like, it's not uncommon. We'd have projects before then that were like 6 months long. So they got someone to actually see their input, their feedback themselves in those responses, and that was magic. And now what we're doing, I had a bit of a zag moment like in the last week too, where we were going, hey, there's a ton of implementation. What I dislike, I love the technology, I love the nature of disruption. What I've continually been surprised about over like the last year is how much of it is behavior change and organizational change, and a lot of stuff where data people oftentimes are great at data, suck at people, and most people are great at people and suck at data. And so oftentimes I love the data, I love the decisioning, I love hey, we figured out how to crack what is a problem that no human brain can even come near processing. So that stuff's phenomenal, cool to me. But most of the time I go, we packaged it, we figured that one out, take it. And they go, well, what do you want me to do with it? And all of those steps to train someone in that new behavior is a shit ton of work. And it
Oh,
is, man, implementing a new behavior is, I mean, again, like to your point on category behaviors, most of the people that are on like Dow Jones Index and S&P, those big ticker symbols, they are either a category creating business making a new behavior, or they're a huge conglomerate that just buys up everything that looks disruptive that is changing a behavior. Right.
yep,
So, like, I mean, you want a big, long lasting company, you do one of those two hugely bifurcated behaviors, right? Establish a new behavior or go and buy a bunch of tech that does. And implementing that new behavior, because people go, it's AI. And I go, yes. And it's behavior change. What they want it to be is I click that button and I have that chat GPT experience, but implementing its actual recommendation now requires, okay, do you cross check it? Do you have feedback loops? Do you actually verify the output? Because it may look like a pretty business plan, but the math usually doesn't add up, not even at the arithmetic level. And there are a lot of complexities in going, okay, that behavior of actually implementing it is a huge human problem.
and that's what you do. Do you guys do the implementation?
Part of the zag is people say, like, you can't just lead them to water. You have to reach down, pick up the water, and slap the horse in the face with it. It is
Yeah,
like you absolutely have to do a hands-on, it is kind of like the E-Myth kind of implementation thing with them. You need to do it with them watching, with them implementing, and all of the time we're doing a ton of just implementing it on their behalf or developing the tech that just goes, okay, cool. Now, it's one of those like, oh, cool. Here's where you can come in and understand the messages that make your brand resonate. Okay,
gotcha.
cool. But now what you actually have to do is come back and actually just generate a series of images using that and then put it in front of them, because they go,
Huh?
okay, well, now I believe that you did what you said you did, but still I have subjective reasons that I want, you find out like we have a new initiative for this new product. There's no data on it. So even though I trust your data, you didn't know that we're launching a cupcake next year. And now I need cupcakes involved in all of these new creatives, stuff, where there's a
Yeah,
human that you just can't necessarily build that data for. So we do very, very heavily, right? I mean, the tech is there to basically analyze people. I mean, our problem is the amount of effort that goes into communication is substantial, right? About 85% of human communication is just nonverbal. And so a lot of our tech is basically going through and trying to figure out where you can find those other signals that tell you not just basically who to talk to, but what to say and exactly how to say it.
yep,
Most people intuitively, they say what they want to hear. And it turns out you cannot understate how important it is to adapt to the audience. The best salespeople ask the most questions. We analyzed a database of like 20 plus million people for sales tactics and figuring out like what made a good salesperson. And it wasn't training, and it wasn't the amount of upsales, and it wasn't the effort or whatever else. It was that they mirrored their audience's personality and communication style, which means they largely figured out how to find that target and convey the message the way they already had it and preferred it themselves. Yeah. But that's not necessarily, it's a tough thing to teach. So like the amount of work you can do when you're talking about like saying it back to them, it's a really big deal. But like we had one client where we said 80% of your high performers just talk to themselves. We did a project for a really big publication I guarantee you've heard of, where a lot of people were going like, they figured out this AI communication thing. They cracked that nut. Their readers basically imitated the personality of the main guy running the whole organization that is very, very, very famous and public and whatever else, right? Like,
yeah,
they figured out they're manipulating people. I'm like, no, people just like that, have that personality, prefer and like that communication style and that personality. So implementing it is figuring out a ton of the behaviors and the preferences of your audience and then mirroring them back to them.
Gotcha.
And it very dramatically changes those conversations, but it's hard to figure out and implement. Just learning what it is one thing. Implementing it is a very different and very challenging one. So,
yeah, I hear you. Holy cow.
Yes, that is it. And so like constantly finding and helping people, oftentimes they're looking for agents. And a big part of what they're doing is implementing and going, okay, I want to take this drudgery, this task that's ticky-tack or whatever, and how do I free up my time, right? And the scale and the path that we're seeing is very much, AI can take care of a lot of the drudgery, right? It takes care of the grammatical errors and things like that. And the more you implement it, the more you act like a conductor, right? You become the orchestrator. And for that reason, to your point, the critical thinking skills are the ones where I'm going, those are what you focus on. Like if I've got a nephew that's going into college right now, I'm like, you don't need to go take development classes. You don't need to know syntax anymore, but go take object-oriented programming, which is like the abstract version of how software works, right? You need to know how like the tools get defined and how the parent-child relationships exist. But a lot of the syntax from an individual language, don't bother. No. Yeah. By the time you graduate, it won't be there. So a lot of that, for what I'd like, at least, like that I get very optimistic about that AI is like, I go, it's going to displace a ton of jobs that don't require thinking. And I think we're going to have a huge explosion of smaller companies with really smart people that are actually conducting that orchestra. You're going to get a lot more music from it. I agree. Smaller companies, smarter people with a lot of that. And for that same reason, I think the same thing on like VAs used to be, I remember one of the ones that comes to mind was just writing how to select the right plane and airline flight for me, right? Where 5-page document like now, over and above everything, prioritize a single flight, right? But the whole decision-making tree was kind of in there. In this situation, revert to that. So it's heartening to go like, hey, if I'm working with systems thinkers, yes, I want to work all of the repetitive tasks out of the business, right? Like if we're doing smart things, we're focusing on things that don't have a map yet, right? Yep. So it's kind of burn the map kind of came from that. It meant people go like, it's burn the map, like don't follow the instructions. Like, no, it means we followed the instructions. We have them committed to memory and they're no longer useful. So we can use this map for a new purpose, right? Like it was not. Yeah. People were like, burn the map, ignore it. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's good. I love it.
What's next though? You've got your military, you have that thing coming up in Arlington, right?
Yeah. Arlington, Texas. We're doing Military Creator Con. James and Mar created that event for veterans. It's happening April 16th, 17th, and 18th. And myself and a good friend of mine, Christopher Lockhead, the godfather of category design, he and I are doing a 1-day category design intensive the day before the event. And then we're going to do a fireside chat Lockhead and I to kick the event off, Military Creator Con. So we're really excited about that. And we're just looking for people to come to the event. We're looking for veterans who are interested in building a business, or maybe they have built a business, but they're stagnant and don't really know what to do. We're trying to teach people on the difference between category design and traditional business. And most people like to, like I said, market their products or services. They don't market the problem. And when you market, like for me, hiring help is hard. Well, that sounds the same. Like everyone else does that. But if I market, your business is missing an entire department, now all of a sudden I've created a category. And so what we want to try and do is work with these from 9:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It's going to be a small room, maybe 30 to 60 people. And we're actually going to go around and help them have them create their own provocative points of view. Maybe we reward the best provocative point of view. We'll teach them how to name their category, how to frame it, and how to claim it. And we'll teach them about lightning strikes, or as my friend Damp says, rolling thunder, on how do we get that message out? Like, what can we do? And by example, that category design intensive is a lightning strike for Bottleneck, for me, perhaps even for Christopher Lockhead, because we're able to talk about, what it is that we do and how we've leveraged category design in that way. So I really hope that people will come out to it. You don't have to be a veteran to attend. Maybe you support veterans, but it has to be real forward level creators, whatever you want to do. So yeah, pretty exciting times. And that's April.
Good for you, by the way. The hardest things to do, creating something from 0 to 1, from nothing to something, is way harder. Like, I worked in innovation departments with like ConAgra. So I worked on 9-figure brands. Like they would do Healthy Choice and Orville Redenbacher and stuff like that. And those ones, you had to launch a business, but you already had a big brand to work with. And so doing 20 million in your first year, and that was considered just the hurdle of, it's not a failure.
Yeah.
It really is a hell of a lot easier than it is going from 0 to 1. That's tough, but it's really, really useful. And it's really where you get those stripes. And it's, doing the Lord's work, so to speak. I go, it's like people that pull that off. I just go, hell yes, good on you. Cause it's tough. That's really, really tough. Crazy useful skill, because so many people cannot do it. And it's hard to teach, right? Because you have to kind of go, I can't tell you how to use the map, but I can tell you how to read maps. I can tell you how to write maps. So I may not know exactly your path to the destination, but I know how to build the skill sets that get you there.
Yep.
That's a very big deal. I mean, it's systematic problem solving. It's like, you want to put a dent in the universe, you're not going to luck your way into that. I don't care what people say on that front. Like, you can create your own luck, but that's usually systems thinking that gets you there, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well done, sir. I appreciate you, Jamie. You're a good soul, man. What's the best place for other people to find you?
You can go to bottleneck.online or look at any of the socials, and I'd love to chat with people. I would encourage them to check out the Delegation IQ Blueprint. It's absolutely free. But the information that it gives you is AI powered, but it's leverages your enriched data. So it's taking your vernacular and it's taking your story, and it's using the data that you input, for you to kind of come up with a blueprint on what to do. Whether or not you work with us, it doesn't matter. It's extremely helpful document.
I'll check it out. Also, you wrote a book, and I didn't even ask you about your book, but you should mention your book.
Yeah, I wrote a book called Quit Repeating Yourself. And it's all about how today's businesses are using systems and processes to build their business the right way. And it's all about delegation, documentation, and I just kind of mix in a little bit of my personal life with some of the lessons that I've learned, including a lot of stuff from the Army. But yeah, it's a quick read, but I've got a lot of positive feedback from it. So
the best ones are awesome. But thank you kindly. I appreciate it, Jamie. You're a good man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan.